Hello and welcome to Rule of Thirds, a conversation about art, design and culture with your hosts
Burns,
Mike
and Jude.
If this is your first time listening, welcome to the family. Be sure to follow us on our Instagram at Rule of Thirds Pod. Don't be shy to say hi. Alright, now to the episode. With our creative journeys, what is our goal? Is it working up the career ladder or creating art that will one day change the world? Is there such a thing as creating too much work? Do we make the most out of each piece or project we create? And is this way of working ethical or even sustainable?
Do you lot credit people on your like posts and whatever?
But like Michael even need to credit anybody. All his work is his.
That's that's why I'm like, I can't relate. Not even like there would obviously be a time that would be like, yeah, this was a team effort. The only reason why I'm thinking is because I am thinking of things that I'd want to do in the future. I'd probably put it on like summary post to be like, thank you guys to everyone that was involved. But yeah, I don't know if I'd put it on every single post, but I'll definitely put it on like, if it's like maybe the same project, just multiple pictures and posted differently, I'll put it on some, maybe not on everyone. But yeah, in general, I'll make sure I post, this person did this project, this person did this.
Yeah.
It depends, I guess, as well. Yeah. What about you guys?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
I've seen you guys credit, like, from what I've seen anyway.
Yeah, definitely credit. Actually, that's a lie. There's certain pictures that people take, and more times probably my babes that's taking their picture.
If it's like iPhone, or friends taking it of you and it's a chill picture, then I feel like it's.
But some people actually ask for credit.
Some people like, credit me
for iPhoneography.
They want to leech your followers
for iPhoneography. For iPhoneography, people.
Yeah. It's a skill.
Is it not an art?
Yeah, it's a skill. You've got to get credit for that.
Okay. Well, people owe me credits then. That's all I'm going to say.
Crediting people is like mad important. Just because I know like there's been times where it's like a credit could have done a lot for you. You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
Like there's been so many things that I've done like I haven't gotten credit for, but like I was like integral to its creation. But like sometimes you just kind of let that thing go just because it's like it's not worth the hassle sometimes, but sometimes it is. Like if a big person does like, oh, what are you saying? Like credit me, man. Like let me leech off your followers a bit. You know what I'm saying? You never know. My next client could be in your followers list. Nazi? Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Yeah. But I think that the worst part is when
so
you get credited but it does nothing for you. So it's like at that point it's like, is it even worth
it really be like that?
Yeah, is it even like, was it ever that deep?
I beg not to credit me, you know.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's some work that you're like, you know what? Yeah,
this gonna do more damage. You might know it.
It's gonna do more damage than good.
You didn't need to say all of that. You didn't need to say all of that.
They'll tag you. You start losing followers. You're like, wait, hold on a minute. What's going on here?
Oh my gosh!
Like, wait, hold on. You did that? Sorry, bro.
You see a DM.
Yeah, like, bro, was this you? It's like, see you. Say no more. Alright, bro. Chat to you later.
Funny. That's so funny, boy.
That's bad, you know. Have you met a bad work that you just said like, yo, just don't tag me in?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Have you guys like,
bro?
That song
don't worry about it. It's all you, bro. It's all you.
It's all you, bro.
Yeah. You know the worst thing is like I remember there was this person who I didn't even do like the artwork. Yeah. The person was asking for advice. I gave them advice. They didn't listen to the advice. They did something else, and then they tagged me saying, "Shout out to Jude for the inspiration." My friend, take it off. What do you mean? When that inspire you, please don't put my name. I do not associate with this
Ah,
kind of
how you gonna
thing.
say when the inspiration misroad? Jeez.
No, I think that's what stresses me out when people tag you on Instagram of random things. Because Facebook is a pest for that. Like, I'll be there and people be tagging me in the pictures of them getting married. I'm like, bro, this has nothing to do. I wasn't even invited to the wedding. Why am I tagged in this? But on Instagram, it's slowly starting to creep. And I just don't get why. It's like someone will tag you in a random thing, like, oh, it was a good day. I spoke to blah blah
That's
later that day.
hilarious.
It's like, why are you tagging me in that? Like, I have nothing. There's nothing for me to do here.
That's fun. That's funny.
No,
It's because you're part of the journey. You're part of the journey.
I will get off right here.
Do you remember back in them days where they used to do those things of like they'll tag you in, and they'll be like, "Oh, it was so cheesy," but like they'll be
I
like,
feel like
"Oh."
I know what you're about to say.
Tag the people who
Like-
inspire you.
Not even that. It was even worse than that. But it was like,
Screaming.
or maybe it was like back in the day. It was like I think it was like cartoon characters.
Ah,
And basically
I needed the
people would tag-
validation. I like those. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
would
those
tag
are kind
you
of
like-
fun though.
Validate.
You remind me of SpongeBob.
Yeah,
Well,
those are
it's
fun.
like-
I can't lie. Well, you were SpongeBob in it. That's why you don't like it. Look at your face. Man.
Nah,
You're definitely SpongeBob. You don't like it.
this guy. Or like them ones where random will tag you in, and it's like, oh, if you've been tagged, it means I love you. And
Oh yeah, nah, allow that. That's too much. You're doing a lot there.
I hated that stuff, you know.
Why can't you just tell me you love me?
All right,
How
all right,
much you need to
fragile,
tag?
toxic
That's so
masculinity.
Yeah.
Someone's trying to show you love.
No, but
No,
the thing
no,
is,
no.
why can't you just tell me you love me?
The graphic used to be so ugly as well.
Oh yeah.
It'll be like them, yeah, in a love heart. You know those filters? It'll be in a love heart. Yeah.
With guns,
Said with doves.
thug love.
WhatsApp auntie graphics. Lord have mercy.
Thank God that away from those days. I think I even saw a post, I think earlier in the week, and basically it was talking about what was it again? You see, back in the day on Facebook where we used to put like we'll go out for a night out or something and we'll upload every single photo.
Hey.
Oh boy.
Hey.
I don't remember
Do you
anything.
know the amount of things I've had to remove my tag from?
I need to delete my
Sometimes.
Facebook. Actually, I actually need to delete that Facebook. I
Yeah,
think about
delete
it,
that,
yeah.
man.
But the thing is that it's connected to the Instagram as well. It's all that tricky.
I had to make a ghost thing because I
Yeah, that
cannot
makes sense.
use what I had before because boy, the slips are on there. But I don't know.
All the time.
It's kind of
Memories,
It makes
innit?
you think like. I think we've had conversations about social media anyway. Where it makes you think like, rah, why did we just not care back in those days? We would just upload every
That's very
slip,
true.
every. Do you know what I mean? But it's because we wanted to
Yeah.
create memories. Now we just want to create highlights.
yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's
Like back then,
yeah.
it was like I guess it was an accurate depiction of a more accurate depiction of life. Let me not say accurate.
Yeah.
More accurate than like Insta. Insta's more about like aesthetics and
Yeah, of
a
course.
vibe and the moments. But like Facebook was
It's vibes,
the
yeah.
reality. Like even the slips, you would laugh with your friends in the comments. These these facial expressions that you guys are doing. Oh god. But yeah, like you'd laugh about the slips, you'd be in the comments bantering and stuff. Like it was fun. It was a lot more communal, but like yeah, Instagram and yeah, you can't really be putting slips on Twitter because
Nah.
definitely
The thing is, people do though. People
What a
put
trend.
a lot. People put a lot of slips on Instagram. But the only thing is with Instagram, I feel like with Facebook we wanted Facebook to be what Instagram is back then. So we wanted to make it very casual, but then your auntie started following you, and then your dad, and your mum, and then it started getting a bit weird. But now, I guess now that we've grown, we've like learned, because like if we really think about it, we've been like taught how to curate like
yeah.
visually from a very young age, like the Facebooks, even the Blackberries, and like all these little bits
Even
and
like
bobs,
Pixo, Tumblr,
all of that.
yeah.
So
oh
yeah.
my gosh.
So it's like
Nice
we've been
way of
learning how to
selecting the
curate like visually for a long time. Now we're slowly getting better at it. That's why Instagram is like everybody knows. Like, fam, someone will be like, "This is my aesthetic." How do you know? Like, how do you know that's your aesthetic? You know, and it's like so it's clear that we've been like conditioned to curate like things. I guess the kind of cool thing. It just shows how mechanical human beings can be. You know.
Would you not or I don't know if you do already, but do you keep like photo albums? back in the day where you go to like your aunt's yard or whatever, or someone comes to your yard and then you just have a little photo book and you just show, oh yeah, this was the time when we had you know, we went to that place.
It was so small.
You
It
get
was
me?
so
Like,
small.
would you
Look at
mind-
you now. Oh.
Literally, bro. Would you mind?
Yeah.
Would you man do that, or do you already have that?
It'd be cool to do that. I feel like it isn't practical now, but I feel like I just do that for aesthetics.
expensive still.
Unfortunately, I'd really do that for aesthetics.
That's funny.
You know.
What's your aesthetic?
No,
What's your
but
aesthetic?
no, I'm not.
No, don't worry. He'll be getting like Polaroids.
No,
and
so but the
all
thing is,
sorts.
yeah, it's funny because like most of the pictures you end up taking are in digital form, then to go and print it. Then it seems like
Yeah,
again,
it's a waste.
it's just a waste. But
It's more like a reverse, isn't it?
you know what I'm saying? But if it, like, because I still have film cameras and stuff. If I'm shooting on film, like I still have my film, like my actual film, like scans and like my like raw film that I can actually look through. So I still have loads of that. So I guess it depends. If I'm shooting film, then sure. But if I'm not gonna go out my way to go and take out all my digital files from like all my raw files and then edit and then print and then put them in a photo book for them to
What's gonna
degrade in
happen to
10
those
years.
files though? When we pass,
cloud,
in the
innit?
next
We
100
just
years.
accumulate
It's gonna be here
them,
forever,
don't we?
unfortunately.
And just give the hard drive over. Like if I think about
No, but what about if it's saved on that? So some of my photos are saved on my Google Photos or like. By the way, that Google Photos, they have saved pictures. Where?
See, you can't do that with photo books more time. Well, sometimes,
Nah,
anyway,
it's true.
especially right now, anything can happen. You know,
true.
anything can happen, and it just it's too much load on the physical space.
That's very
You know,
true.
like I'm sorry, yeah, but when I was like at uni, I remember like especially girls used to do this. You go into the room and they have like this like curtain of photos with the fairy
But
lights.
I do like it though.
I used to hate that, but I can't lie. But I never said anything.
Really?
But it's just like
Nah,
yeah,
I
it's
felt
just
like
kinda
you needed it to
what
remind
are you
yourself
doing?
of the good times and the people that
What do you
you
mean?
miss.
So what's
No,
what's
think
wrong
about
with
it
your
this
brain?
way.
What's wrong with your brain? I can't remember good times with your
Whoa.
brain, fam. You
No, but
okay.
Whoa!
damn, the energy, it really came from a place.
Whoa!
That's how
Hold
many
it,
years
son.
of uni seeing it again and again and again. The resentment.
Yeah,
was
no.
building.
After a while, it's irritating. It's just kind of like half of the people in here are not your friends anymore.
Ooh, Jesus.
Okay, that was petty. That was petty.
Lord, that
That was
was
so
not
uncalled for.
necessary.
That was
Nah,
so
that was
Anybody
so
who's getting triggered by this,
rude.
I am so
Whoa.
sorry. I love you,
That
really.
was-
I really do.
I don't know,
Sorry.
ma'am or sir. No, you were talking to it was a lady.
He's talking to somebody.
I am so sorry about that indirect. That was wow. You did not need to go there, yo.
No, but the thing is, yeah, it's just
Oh.
kind of like okay. Again, I think my point is just a waste. But I get it if that's your thing. I just feel like to print like me. Okay, I'm guilty of that because when I was in first year and second year, most of my wall was full like graphic design posters and stuff. Do you get what I'm saying? That was just to inspire me. But like, I get why someone would post a picture of the family on the wall and stuff. I get that, but it's just the idea of because Polaroids and stuff, they're very sensitive material, and then you put them on the wall with blue tack and fairy lights, and the sun is shining on them, and it's just like for me, it just made no sense. It's like, are you trying to preserve the memory, or are you trying to?
Oh my god.
That's what I never got. It just made no sense. It's like, are you trying to preserve the memory or you're trying to destroy the memory? Because you can't put it right in front of the window. And you open the window and the sun is shining on Polaroids every single day for like 8 hours straight. Yeah. And then you're wondering why the picture's faded. That's what I never got. I just never understood it.
Oh my gosh!
I just felt like, wait,
I
what
think
are you
that's
doing?
finished for you. Then.
I'm just thinking, what
That's
are you
it. The
doing?
photo is fading.
No, that's the reality of the
Ooh.
situation. Ignorance is bliss. Oh wow.
Oh man!
8 hours every day
crying.
for 4
Now
years.
deeper, yeah. So after 3 years, like all the pictures are gone. They're all faded here. and then you take them off the wall. You peel off the blue tag and you put them in a box. And you go home, and you never open that pictures again. You're not gonna go and put them on your wall again, are you?
Let people have nice things.
No. People can have nice things. I just feel like because these kind of things are very sensitive.
Yeah.
And obviously, recently, the
funny,
last
though.
like maybe 5-6 years, the Polaroid thing is like an aesthetic. I totally understand that, but it's like, I've seen people shake it, like literally, like I'm just kind of like, bro, sis, you're ruining the image. It's just kind of like,
Do you pre photos on your phone and that, like randomly? Because I definitely do.
sometimes Snapchat, especially. What do you think they're gonna do with that though? I don't understand that.
They're, they're scanning our faces in it.
Because it's like it's all saved somewhere.
It's cloud storage in it, so like just servers in underground wherever they are, just storing our data and storing and storing and storing and storing and storing.
That's what I was mentioning earlier about this whole ethical thing. Because like, I think especially with again design, it's just like sometimes it's just such a convoluted way of working. Like we don't work like as much as like most designers are very very smart individuals, but we create a solution that causes more problems half of the time. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like it just makes no sense. Like you design an interface that can take this much service to run and blah blah blah, but then that wastes much more electricity than if it was the more simplified version. But because of aesthetics, you end up making it like a website, for example, would take so long to load depending on the quality of images on there and how the web and everything. So it's like we think more about the aesthetics and forget about, like, I don't know how much responsibility as designers we should have, but I feel like we probably should have a bit more than we actually do right now. Because I doubt any of us, even me personally, I don't think like only recently I started thinking about it, like how can I make this as efficient and ethically responsible as possible.
Yeah, no, I fully get that. I think I think that element is more than just design. I think that's more of like, again, putting on your ethical hat and like, your morals really. At the end of the day, I think if you're just trying to get the quick bag, then you're not really gonna think about those kind of things, are you? But like, I think interesting. I think maybe this is just like it's just the whole wave of like the ethical movement. Really, is now kind of touching the design area as well. No.
If you work in a factory and you make cars, right? You're one of like the workmen who actually, like, let's say, okay, your part is you focus on the tires and maybe, I don't know, glass, and you get to your 50s, 60s, and you're saying you're doing that for fun.
I feel like it's different though, because like that's more of like an automated job. Like there will be, let's say that this is the tire for like, let's say this season, and you just remake that tire for a while, but then it's not until a fresh now, I don't know, design comes, then you change it, and then you kind of still do the same job. Whereas with design, I feel like it involves so many other things. Like yes, you've got loads of people that need a rebrand or just branding in general for a product that is coming into market, and there's a high demand for design, especially like we've said, with new technology and with new things comes new problems. So when we think about, let's say, the digital age that we're in now, and with, let's say, COVID, for example, businesses know now more than ever that they need some kind of presence online. So whether that means it's like social media stuff, website stuff, motion work, because you know people like stuff that move. Like I feel like it's our job as designers to almost like change with the times and adapt. So that's why, like, let's say I used the example of Burger King before. That's maybe why they've rebranded this time around, because they needed a bit of a refresh. Or when I spoke about Parliament and how they had their like $1 million rebrand, which didn't look like much, but it's because there was so many
some money back, man. I need my tax back.
Like that's definitely like some kind of
Run
like,
that back.
But like, because there's so many internal things that they needed it for, and for like the inner workings of systems, maybe they even have like systems internally that they need like an interface for, I don't know, but like that's what they will need it for there. So they need designers for that. But then let's say like in 10-20 years time, when there's new technologies, they're gonna need some updates that are suitable for those things. So I feel like for designers, like we'll kind of constantly need to be there just for the sake of like the new things that come, or the new movements, or the new trends. Like for example, like a couple years ago, I feel like it's kind of chilled a bit now, but when there was the whole like sans serif minimalist like craze, where everyone was just doing bland logo here, there, and everywhere, because you know at the time it seemed like that was the wave, and now people are kind of like, you know, changing it up a bit and going into other avenues. So that's why I'm just like, I don't know if it's because as a culture we're always changing. I feel like design wise we have to like change with the times and with the technology and with like the applications and stuff. So that's why I'm just like, I don't think it could make sense for us to just like halt or just like not do as much, because the demand I feel like will just be ever growing, because there's just so much that needs to be designed.
Don't you ever catch yourself kind of designing for the sake of designing though? That's kind of like my point. Like, we never design in the most efficient way. We design like because we can. Do you get what I'm saying?
So it's more like, what do you say is that people just do it because they can do it, rather than maybe people do it because
we don't do it to solve problems anymore.
Right. Which I
But then I
understand.
I feel like the client sometimes doesn't enable you to do that though.
Client aside, as designers, like obviously, if a client comes to you, they always have a problem.
There's been times when I've tried to give someone a solution, a very good solution, and they respond with no, I just want to make it pop. So what can I do about that? Do I just say?
I hate that word so much. I'm sorry. Make it pop.
Oh my
make
God.
it pop where?
So wait, do I now just say? Because now these days, actually, I'm tending to like actually not do things I don't want to do anymore. I tend to actually just regress from it. I don't want to do it anymore.
We love that.
But like sometimes the client needs to also enable, like, it's a collaboration at the end of the day. If one party says, I want to solve a problem, and that's the designer, and the other party says, no, we just want it to look nice, what do you do? You know what I'm trying to say? It's not as easy as it looks to like just make solutions, because sometimes the client doesn't understand that.
Okay, so let's say for example, two clients come to you. One of them has a business that is about, let's say, okay, they're a fitness instructor. Yeah, that's one person. And the second person who comes has a fashion brand, right? And they make, let's say, I don't know, they just make clothes. Like, they're not thinking about the consequences, so they're not going any further to inquire into details about fabric and blah blah. Let's say they just, for argument's sake, they make plastic clothes. Yeah. So in these two kind of situations, obviously they're both coming to you with a problem, right? They're both saying like, this is the issue that we have. We need something to identify us. So obviously as a designer, you have to solve that issue. Not necessarily about their brand, but when you start going into details, obviously the fitness instructor is kind of straightforward, because you know they're trying to help people live a better lifestyle, so and so on. But with the fashion one, that becomes a bit techy, because there's so many layered questions, I suppose, to that. It's like, okay, cool, what are they making? How are they making it? Who are they making it for? Like, what are they associated with? I think the best example I can think of, it's not necessarily a fashion one, but Vitae London, the watches.
Okay.
Like, they have a cause attached to the brand. So like, it becomes a thing where a designer or whoever is involved is indirectly involved with the cause as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like, the better the solution, the better the people, the cause is fed. So for example, if the design is so good, people will buy more watches or whatever, and then in turn the cause will have enough money to do whatever they want to do at the same time. So that's what I mean by the whole like ethical kind of like almost like a chain. Whereas I feel like,
I see what you mean.
You know what I'm saying? It's like in most cases, I feel like designers, like, I catch myself doing this a lot. I'll design because it's cool, but I won't design to solve or to help or to kind of
it's not
create
really
something.
solving the problem.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's just like, okay, now we're just doing it.
Like, it's almost something for 1 year rather than something for 5 years.
Yeah, it's just like, it's cool, and we just do it.
But then, again, that requires more money.
That's exactly it. Because I was gonna say, I feel like that's maybe more like maybe on our level, that's something that we are maybe grappling with, or that's what we may struggle with. But like, I feel like for when you're further along in careers, when you're like studio agencies like levels, that's why it costs so much money, because they're thinking about these things. It's supposed to be a problem solving solution. It's not supposed to cause problems. It's supposed to help with this desired goal. You know, like when you read case studies and you see like, oh, this is why we did it, and we can actually use the metrics to show you that there was this return, or encourage this like footfall and traffic if it's like a shopping center, or this revenue and sales. So I feel like maybe for them, especially when you got like your strategists, because that's why you have got the strategists like in these agencies, because they can indicate the problems, and then that's kind of what you will focus on, and that will inform like your solution. But maybe for us, because for some people, let's say starting off or like just in the middle of it or whatever, like maybe they don't have the manpower to look at those things or figure out those things. And maybe the clients as well, different kind of client too, they may be looking for something that's quick, or they may not even fully understand what it is that they actually need and why design is such an important part of their business and stuff. So yeah, I agree with like Burns, like when you're saying like it's a money thing, and there's so many bits that I guess depending on like the level that you're on or where you work, you'll think about or you won't think about.
I was gonna say, just to add on to that, and actually, the reason why the money even comes in is because you may need more people on the project, which means more people need to get paid. I'm trying to say, like these things, for example, like if we're talking about ethical design, actually may not be achievable just as a one-man band. I'm trying to say, you actually will need to, because trust me, like to work on a project for like 6 months straight, it probably will take me 6 months if I'm trying to do something ethical. Not like I do naturally, I'm an ethical person the way I operate anyway. But if I want to put something like the real detail into it, it's gonna take me about 6 months, even more. And if it will take me 6 months, then you have to pay me for those 6 months.
True.
I'm trying to say, like, it's the time and effort that's put into it.
No, I was gonna say, like, I guess it again project by project, because I think there are some things that it could be like a one-man band, but it does just require like time and stuff, and it depends on what they want. Like, it was a weird one, but remember that CIA rebrand that we discussed in that chat, like
Ryder something.
Yeah. And Ryder Rips apparently was the one that did it, and then all of a sudden he didn't do it, but I kind of feel like it was him that did it. And
it's the CIA, you're not meant to know, innit?
Yeah,
it definitely was him.
Obviously, like when we saw that, we were like, "What the hell is this? Like, this looks like it looked like people were taking the piss online. They're like, it looks like it's something for like a club festival. Like, what kind of nonsense? Like, people are making like fake like t-shirt mock-ups and stuff. But if you actually think about the purpose or what it was for, it was to bring in new different types of people into those positions. It was open, it was for more diverse candidates to come and actually apply. If you looked at the pictures of the people that they had on the website, it was people of color, as the Americans say. Like, it was to kind of encourage, like, okay, we want new voices, young people getting involved from different backgrounds, and it served its purpose. And it obviously it caused a bit of like an uproar online. And it's funny because at the time, I know I wasn't thinking of it that way, because I was like, what kind of, what's all this? But then when you actually sit back and think about it after some time, I was like, oh man, it actually caused a lot of notoriety, and a younger demographic probably felt like they could relate to that a bit more. And it did seem a bit more appealing than maybe what it looked like before. So that, let's say Ryder Rips, maybe that was a one-man band, but with the problem that they had, that design probably helped solve that issue. And again, for that specific case, that worked. So yeah, I guess it comes down to maybe how we look at the projects that we're given, whether it be like an album, artwork and promo and campaign, or it's, you know, something for like designing the labeling of, like, I don't know, sources, something like that. Like, maybe if we look at it more from like a strategic level, then that will help us with our design.
Okay, yeah, because I think what I was like more so leaning towards is as individuals, because I think it's very easy to be like, maybe it's on the company or the client to give me an ethical brief in order for me to achieve or do ethical stuff. So I'm saying, like, as designers, when, like, for example, if I go and design something on my Instagram, for example, like, how do I make that an ethical chain, like, where I have 100% control? Because the thing is, like, for example, if I say tomorrow that I want to make posters, how can I make that ethical to the core? And I say ethical, or as Burns would say, ethical as possible, not necessarily like 100%, but as much as you can do in your own power. Because the thing is, for example, posters. If I was going to make posters with the art that I do, because graphic design, let's be real, most designers will post a piece of art on their page as regular as possible. So if we all as designers were to say, look, we all going to support whatever cause we want, all we need to do is sell what we make for free most of the time on Instagram, and take a percentage of that, like, you know, that income, and put it towards something that might be helpful outside of ourselves. So for example, if let's say I design something and I put it on Instagram, it's cool, I get a few hundred likes, ends there. Next time I post something, it's really cool, I get a few hundred likes, ends there. Another time I design something, is cool, 100 likes, and it ends there. Then at what point do we have to say, okay, cool, what is the actual point of us creating so much? Like, what is the end goal? So I guess my question would be like, when you've done these things, wouldn't it make more sense to even in the least say, okay, I'm gonna sell my artwork with a cause attached? Because if you think about it, I guess it could kind of go both ways, where it's like you will end up making more money than you usually make, which is zero most of the time, and also you are helping a cause. So it becomes ethical because, one, you're not designing for just designing, but also helping yourself to sustain your lifestyle and also help a cause. That's where my thinking is.
It's a way of being ethical, but I don't think it's the only way of being ethical.
No, of course not.
Yeah, I think on that note, I think what I would say in that situation is actually, like for example, what about reducing your carbon footprint? So actually working with local suppliers to get your printed stuff done, rather than going to like a huge company that, I don't know, all the way up in Leeds or obviously we're from London area kind of, but like all the way in Durham, or do you know what I mean? Like it's just random.
Yeah.
Like reduce that carbon footprint, for example. Actually, what about the material that you're using? Like these are small ways that we can be ethical with what we do, as creators, as designers. But yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying as well.
Thank you for supporting us by listening. Be sure to share your thoughts with us using the hashtag #RuleOfThirdsPod. Enjoy the rest of the conversation. Most designers aren't okay. Most designers have to like scrape to get by. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking like,
you have to speak about another episode, you know, because that one itself,
you know. Yeah. But like, surely that's an ethical way of sustaining yourself as a human being. Like being able to do something that makes you like, you don't have to rely on the big jobs to sustain yourself in that regard. Because what will happen is they might bring you briefs. Like I can't remember the designer's name, but I remember they brought him a brief to redesign, I think it was Marlboro cigarettes, and he said no, and they basically blackballed him for quite a long time. So he had to find a new way to kind of make his income. So my thing is like at what point do designers kind of transition from waiting for the next thing to come to them, or to go and look for the next thing to work alongside or work for, when we can create opportunities for ourselves in a much more ethical way? Because it's like, you could wait for a big company to come to you, but most of the time your views might not align, and you're gonna have to do it because paycheck. So you have the skills, clearly, because they come to you, or you go to them, whichever it is. Like, fam, imagine if, let's say, 5 photographers banded up, grouped together, and said, look, we're all going up. Like, I think Joshua Casey did one recently during the Black Lives Matter protests and stuff. When they all came together and made, like, that's what I mean by ethical. Like,
I hear that.
You see what I'm saying?
I love that as well, because I think they all charge like maybe $100 for each.
Yeah,
or maybe it was more, like $200 for each. It was one picture by like multiple photographers, and they raised a lot of money for like black causes and like organizations and stuff. But I was gonna say that I feel like, going back to what you kind of said earlier, because I did want to kind of like touch on it. I feel like, yes, we should try and be, you know, ethical in doing things, but it's not always going to be cost effective. And I also feel like sometimes when I say designer in this case, maybe more like on the art side of things, when it comes to like creating your own projects and that kind of thing, I think sometimes naturally as a artist or like a creative person, you actually just want to create for the sake of creating. And I do feel like there is a space for that where it should be okay for you to do so. because I know you were talking about like the likes and stuff, for example, like like you're just gonna post it out there for the likes. But let's say some people may just create for creating's sake, but it's like, okay, but how are you not, one, skill wise, like if you're a creative person, obviously you kind of need to like practice multiple times in order to like refine your skill and your craft. So there's that. And then there's also sometimes it may not necessarily make money, but it's engaging with people in a certain way. Like we know like certain art pieces, or not even installations, or people that we follow that like we see their work. I'll use an example of like visualize, or it's just called Visualize now. There's an account that he uses like really simple graphics or icons, really simple, like I can't remember I don't know what you call them, illustrations for a specific thing. And I guess that's ethical because there's meaning behind that.
Right.
But then it might go down to the thing of like, with all the artists that we see who may, to us, like for example, there was an artist that had like the banana, I think like sellotape to the wall.
Yeah.
And people were like, what the hell is this? Like I could just do a banana like sellotape to the wall. But I watched the video to kind of like understand, because I was trying to understand more about like how the art world works, because some people can sell like a picture of a square, like on even on what's it called, not Bitcoin, with art, crypto art, for example, like NFT stuff, somebody sold like a red square for like couple hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of like Ethereum. But maybe for those people it's the feeling. So with this banana thing, they were like, oh, you know, he's not necessarily, it's not the it may not be the banana, the fact that it's the banana sellotape, that's not the art idea. It's more the fun, it's almost like the humor behind it, the fact that it brings in people to take pictures, and that is the like art in itself. It's the commotion, it's the fuss, it's the conversations, that is the art. Even in like when the people there was like a art house that like bought the piece to like have the installation or to like rent it out or something, they said in the deed or in the instructions, it was literally like, any banana, just sellotape it to the wall, that's it. Even like somebody else, they just went up to the banana, oh, it wasn't a banana peel, it was an actual banana, they took the banana and they ate it, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, he ate the art piece. And I was like, no, my guy could argue that he was even interacting with the art and making his own art by eating the banana, because what they left it, and then for like a couple hours later they just got a new banana and stuck it onto the wall, and it resumed as normal. So I feel like there is a space for us to just create for the sake of creating, because I think naturally as human beings, that's what we just like to do. And it's weird that there's some things that we may not find interesting or important, but other people will resonate with. Like we see it with music, there's some music that I think is absolutely trash, but there's an audience for it. So I feel like that's allowed. But I do agree that on an ethical level, like we can definitely be more like interdependent on one another, like working with like local like printers, for example, or collaborating with different artists. But I think my worry was that as designers and as creative people, we can be that focused, but then will we look at the 9-to-5 people and almost have that same kind of expectation on them? You get? It's like, will we look at, let's say, those who work in banking to be like, oh, what's the ethical things that you can do? But like to ourselves, we may be like, oh, but you know, we're just creating for the sake of creating, and is it really contributing to anything? But I think
everyone can be ethical.
Like
even bankers, for example.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lifestyle.
Therefore, can
I think for me, it was more like, like I didn't want, not that I thought it was like that, but I was just like thinking, okay, do we place the same energy on others? Because I think sometimes people look at creative things and just like, like it's just a thing that you can do. But I think like if we think of COVID or the pandemic, it's the creative and the art that has kept people going. You know, in this time, it's almost like saying like with content today, and there's so much content, a ridiculous amount of content, but the need for it is growing. TikTok booming and YouTube booming still, and it seems like it's constantly gonna be a thing. So that's why I'm like, on that level, I feel like it already seems like there's a lot of noise, but there's still such a crazy demand, and it's just mad that there's the demand for it. So we should, I feel like, yes, maybe not create stuff that for me, like even with the stuff I know want to bring into this world, like I do want it to have some form of purpose or function.
Yeah.
But then there is the argument that, okay, people should be free to like explore and play around with it if it doesn't have a specific.
Because that part I don't disagree with. I don't disagree with like creating art for art's sake. I do that. But my point is after the fact, because I think if you create art for art's sake and the art is amazing and people interact, you've done an ethical act because people are communicating. So that's community in itself. That's an ethical act. I get that. That's fine. But I'm saying for the designer themselves, what is the ethical point for? Because I feel like a lot of people, like, fam, you see, there's this stereotype of the struggling artist, or like, you know, the designer with like bags under his eyes or her eyes.
Right.
Like, these are not ethical acts to us as designers. So I'm saying, like, yeah, create the art, but don't neglect yourself and think that that's how the artist is supposed. That's not an ethical way of living. So I don't mean necessarily ethical again.
Like a sustainable way.
Yeah,
like,
you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying like, okay, let's go out and save the world, hip hip hooray. But I'm saying like, we've got to take care of our own, and as a community, as designers, as creators, we need to be conscious. That's why the Joshua Casey example was brought up. None of these photographers were going out taking pictures thinking I'm going to make an ethical photo. I'm taking a photo because it's an emotion, it's a feeling, it's a scenery. I'm capturing a moment, wherever. But it's the afterthought, the fact that they could recycle or upcycle, shall I say, the artwork and make it mean something.
Some people definitely upcycle.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like you can like, fam, you can go into your hard drive and pull out projects from 2015, whatever, and repurpose it for a good cause. Now it's sitting there doing nothing. That's my point. Like, if all your work is just sitting there doing nothing, why not put it out there to some degree to help someone else or to help yourself? Like, you're sitting there, maybe you don't have money, you have artwork that's there. Like, you don't have to. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you haven't tried.
Like, put it. You know what I'm saying?
Say, look, I'm putting this out there. I need money, but I also want to help a good cause. Or you just need money. Put it out there and say, look, I'm selling maybe all my this catalog of work, prints, or even just digital work. There's NFTs now. You know, you have to pay a fee or so, whatever. But my point is, like, you can even do it like where it's a supply and demand thing. Someone can come and say, look, I'm putting this out for this month. The first 2 weeks, how many orders I get is how much I print.
Right.
You don't. It doesn't have to be like I'm gonna get a large sum of money and start. I feel like that's the thing. Is like, I feel like as designers, we're problem solvers, but we always make it seem like it's impossible. Like, we say we can solve problems. Why not solve that problem? That's the main problem most of us have. We always find it difficult to find how we can sustain ourselves as human beings, but we're out here solving $1 million problems. It makes
everybody's
no
problems but our own.
Do you get what I'm saying? And that's what I mean. It's such an unethical way to think, because it's like, you can't solve your own problems or finance, but you are saying you can solve someone else. Like, how do I have trust in someone who can't solve their own problem? As a designer, that's my qualms about this whole issue. Is like, as designers, we need to think about an ethical way to sustain ourselves in order to then create a better surrounding. Because I'll trust someone who can take out. There's a reason why we pay the bigger designers or the more rich designers more money, because we trust them. Not because their work might be better. Half of them might not be like better work, but we trust them because of their lifestyle. Do you know what I'm saying? And if we, as people who are like coming up and stuff, if we can think about how we can implement that in our design, it's like, whatever we put our minds to, we need to figure out a way that we can make it that everybody around the project or an idea is able to win, yourself included. A lot of designers exclude themselves from the process. You know, it's like you get the money and it goes straight to your rent or it goes straight to your bills. It's like, okay, but at what point are you going to include yourself in that whole, you know? I'm just saying, I feel like designers need to think about themselves a bit more in that regard.
Definitely. No, I agree. You know? I agree. Now, like, I understand, like, especially on like the sustainable, like how to keep yourself like
right
as a creative person. 100%, I agree with you, because it's a massive problem. And like, I think for a lot of us, we start into this game like devaluing ourselves because we don't fully understand. And I guess it is an understanding thing, because there's so much that I feel like I know I don't know when it comes to like design, or just how to do certain things, or even like licensing being a thing, or, oh, if you want to use this design, charge this amount kind of thing. So I think it is people coming into a space that is still new for them, so maybe they don't fully know what the norm is, but also kind of rating themselves to like a degree, like, oh, okay, like,
of course
I'm just as important as the other person. And I guess just we have to be a bit more upfront about what it is that we want, and maybe don't downplay our value.
Definitely.
And yeah, honestly, yeah, the value of our work and what we do. Because if people do engage with it and interact with it, why not just try it out and be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna sell this thing. If you guys really like it, buy it. You know, you can have it in your house and stuff. No, I do think that's really, really important, especially if you've just got. It's true. I guess it comes back round to like this whole thing of like, you know how we said taking loads of pictures like on our phones, and when we were having that conversation, I was just thinking like, mad, it's crazy. I think when our aunties had like photo albums, that part of the conversation that we were talking about, like it was a limited amount, so we almost like cherish what it is that we have. You bring it out all the time, whereas now if we look at like iPhoneography, that's like when you just take loads of pictures on your iPhone, it's like, oh, that person might not like that angle, but you've got like 100 different pictures of the same pose or in the same location, and it's not valued as much, and we're just storing these things, but we're not actually making like a decent use. And I guess when we're in a generation where we don't value just the things that we do, because we're so used to just, content just comes on the whim, or with the things that we take and the pictures that we take or the clothes that we can buy, I can just buy like 10 t-shirts from Primark for like a tenner. And you know, I guess because we're in that culture where we have access to so much, especially in the West. Everything's quick, so we don't really have time to slow down and think, I know that's one reason why I'm off like Insta. That's part of the reason why I'm off, because I'm just like, let me think about what it is I'm actually doing.
I need to think for myself.
I know that I don't want Instagram, and I've said this before in previous episodes, I don't want Instagram to be the main place where all of my work is, and I don't want... what am I creating all this work for? Obviously for people, but obviously I want to do something more with it, and it's not just for you to just see for 10 seconds and then swipe. It's for more than that.
Bro, so your work becomes so devalued, you know. When you think about it, man will spend 4 or 5 hours, Can
you imagine?
I mean, like even bringing it to like reality, like even our podcast, for example, like when we put stuff on our social media pages, I say new episode out now. A man made this. They might just hear me laugh and then skip. And it's like, no, legit. But like, that we have taken 4 hours to edit. And it's like the value.
That's the way
the value of things have gone.
That's the way the world kind of sees things now, and I guess it's, like you said, it kind of comes down to us to really just ask ourselves, like, how do we put the value back in it? What do we say?
Yeah, we're designers. We solve problems.
I think we see our
problem solvers again, man.
And like, I guess we see ourselves as like as subservient, because we're doing
exactly
people the service, but we're the ones that are like the actual professionals or the experts, because people are coming to us for the service, but we just get the roles reversed in
I think way. Not always. I think sometimes if we're not careful, we can get into a lazy habit where we do things because that's the way to do things. Actually, we need to use our brains and actually be like, okay, this may have never been done before, but this could be a really sick way of presenting your work, or do you know what I mean? No, that was a really insightful conversation still.
That's literally what I've been thinking about recently, like in the last the 2 weeks that like we've been like, you know, on the mountain meditating, because that's what we've been doing. But like, it's literally just been on my mind. It's just kind of like, how can I make sure that my work isn't just work,
right,
and it's actually a piece of information that adds to someone's life or adds to society in a more substantial way? Because it's like, come on, man, I keep telling you, man, like, I'm not going to be doing this when I'm in my 30s, 40s, 50s, sitting there waiting for a contract from, I don't know, Barclays or something to
now it's like, I hear
you know what I'm saying?
It's
like, I should find a way to make sure that the next generation, or you know what I'm saying, whoever's next doesn't have to deal with sitting down asking themselves, am I good enough? You should put your work there. At the end of the day, it's all for the people, and we're doing this thing where we're always working through the middleman. The middleman is the company, the middleman is the client. The client is the actual product. They're the people bringing the product. We are just giving a face to the product, but we're not involved in the process. That's the scary part, because what happens is that we get cut off like straight away. We design the logo, we design the language, okay, we don't need you anymore. You've given us what we need. Now we can
Fam.
actually go ahead
Fam.
and do the product.
Be like that.
Yeah,
No, but my point is that's what it is now,
exactly. Yeah,
and that's the sad part.
We have to build our own systems then.
Like we need to
Ultimately,
create something around that, you know.
Yeah. But again, it's so complicated because it comes to money. So I mean, obviously,
I don't think it does, you know.
No. Trust me. It does.
I feel like sometimes,
The older we get, the less we'll have people that are like, because at the moment, like I've got clients that are like, no, they run businesses and they can afford it.
Right.
But I've got some clients that may come to me and they're literally 9 to 5, like myself, whatever, and they're paying me self-funded. So for you to be giving me a certain amount every month may not actually be possible.
Wouldn't that depend on what you're providing? So what you're basically telling me is that you don't feel like as a designer we can provide a service or a piece of art to them on a monthly basis that's worth them paying on. Like, fam, Netflix does that, Amazon does that, YouTube does that, Spotify does that. They provide an art piece or a piece of art. They provide a service that we do. Like all the music on Spotify is from artists. It's not from Spotify.
But then does that become something else? 'Cause I wouldn't necessarily say that. Not that it's not designed, but it almost becomes like a product, depending on what the product will be. But then
I feel like you
But then
devalue.
do
If
you
I'm
want to
giving my
spend?
service £10 a month, what?
But then, even if it is a set amount, do you? Because that's time as well. That's time that you're gonna have to put in to make that product a thing every month. And
okay, so I think you guys are thinking, okay, I'll start with this question. How many of us design once a month?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, so that means how many of us design once a week?
Yeah.
Things that don't have anything to do with a client. Do you get what I'm saying?
oh, like for personal, like
Just
anything. Oh yeah,
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
We
yeah.
can call it
I
personal.
I design more for others than I do for myself.
See what I'm saying? Okay, so now what I'm trying to say is that it's not, and in fact, it might even be more fun to do it for yourself because then you have much more creative
It
control.
definitely is more fun.
Do you know what I'm saying? So in that aspect, what I'm trying to say is that you can easily monetize and charge much more than you're charging a client because you're providing a service directly to a consumer. Do you see what I'm saying? Just like in terms of like the economical sense, like for example, if you create art, put it in a frame, sell it to a client, that's a product straight to the client that the client can keep, value can grow on it. Do you get what I'm saying? But we as designers, I feel like we have an ecosystem that makes it seem like the more we make, the less the price, and it comes like now we're the Primark in comparison to I don't know, like we're the Primark in comparison to I don't know what brand is very very rare right now.
But then,
Louis
Like,
Vuitton or something like
yeah, yeah, so- you know what I'm saying? It's like there is a very weird, because this is my problem, is that we produce so much that we've devalued our own system.
Right.
So now we've
And
become the
yeah.
Primark. Whereas if we were to slow down and be more selective, then what will happen is that the people who have become consumers cherish it for the rarity. This is the whole point about the NFTs and stuff.
Yeah, because
the reason why
they
people
can't
want
just grab you
NFTs.
anytime.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Like,
Exactly.
To actually work with you is a privilege.
Yeah. It's like, okay, now I'm working with this person. I need to pay them their worth. If I know that if I come to you and you're not going to say £25 is fine, I'm going to go someone else. I'm going to go Fiverr. I'm going to go here. We've allowed these things to kind of carry on and create a Primark. It sounds bad.
but then again,
Primark
it does it does come back to money. Like Burns was saying, like sometimes it is a money thing. Like because if you're gonna hold back, it's like okay, I'm definitely gonna charge more so I can put more effort into these things.
Right.
But if I'm doing a limited amount, naturally, of course, it's gonna be it's of higher quality and stuff. So again, like costing wise, it will go up because especially if you don't want to
more
devalue
time, it's probably
ourselves
more
too.
sustainable. That's what it ties back into the ethics because actually,
Yeah.
you're now, let's say for example, you're receiving 10 emails a week, or 10 emails a month, and maybe you only select 1 out of the 10 because the one actually agrees to what you're going to charge.
Right.
Actually, so like we go back to the example. We always use the example, but like we go back to like you got 10 clients that they will all pay you £200, which is or £2,000. And you got one client that'll pay you £2,000.
Yep. There you go.
That's
But we have to
literally it.
create that value system. We can't
Yeah.
like, come on, we can't all pretend like all of us can just go and just charging 2K every time.
No, but
Unfortunately,
it comes from goodwill, reputation.
yeah, and agree.
to
If,
create
like,
that.
imagine we had a creative council of,
No,
of some
100%,
sort,
yeah, yeah.
and then we all said, look, from now on, everything that has to do with an artwork design can't be less than, let's say, £200 flat. I don't care if you're starting off, if you're new, if you're old, whatever it is. It's like going to
basic
Asda
rate.
and you can't go Asda and say, can I have this as a discount? The price is there. You store it. It's not changing. You buy you because we've created that value system there. If that was the case, I feel like a lot of designers would be fine.
But again, it takes time for these things to like build. Or for every designer, not every designer is in the same situation. Like for a lot of us, like for us, like I'm sure the people that we worked with when we started out weren't able to pay 200 for. I
Yeah.
agree, it's something that we should. I feel like it's important for us to
it comes
do,
with time. It's not
but
a
it's
straight
not
away
going to
thing.
be like a quick turnaround. And I guess my not concern, but naturally what I'm thinking about is I know some people may not be willing to do it straight away because they can't afford. Maybe they might not be able to afford. They might not be able to afford to hold out for so long because there hasn't been that
You're right.
demand yet. So it's almost like normally when you make these adjustments, of course there'll be an adjustment period, and I guess we'll just have to see how that adjustment period will be for all of us.
Yeah.
And if people can stick to it, great. If not, then there's that. But I think it'll be a lot easier for others than other people. But
Yeah.
I think it is it's like a necessary thing that will need to happen in order to like move things forward, because it is unsustainable. Like again, literally this conversation is I've been sitting thinking about it because I'm just like, I can't be doing all of this and getting this at the end. It doesn't make sense and all sorts. It is really important.
What would you think if, let's say, and I think, to be fair, this sounds a bit harsh, yeah, but most designers don't design with companies or ideas or clients that they believe in, right? So let's use that as the basis here, right? So let's start off there. Yeah, most of them you're designing with people that you might actually like, and this is like 75% of the problem. If we cut that out and say, look, we don't agree or like your idea, not to say that your idea is bad, but just not for me, you go find someone else that can do that. That, like, for example, if someone comes to me with fitness brand, I personally am not really interested in designing anything to do with fitness. I'm not going to. I'll be like, I'll find someone who's very interested and loves to do fitness things. Do you get what I'm saying? Because one, they'll be more invested in the project. They might give you more things and more information about, oh, you might need this, you might need that you didn't even know about. I wouldn't care as much. That's unethical for me to even attach myself to that, right? Okay, so if we start off there, yeah, and then go on to apply that system to the clients that we take on, what will happen is that we'll end up taking much fewer clients. Do you get what I'm saying? So I totally understand like what you mean, that yes, the money thing comes on and so on and so forth. But it's like if we were to say like we're only gonna do things where we actually believe in, because wouldn't it be nice, yeah, if you designed for a brand, it was tiny, so they paid you maybe £200 for the brand, right? Because that's what they could afford. But they decided that they're gonna give you, let's say, 5% shares in everything that goes forward.
Oh,
Wouldn't that be nice?
good point.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and that's my thing. But the problem there is, if you don't believe in the brand, you won't care. If they give you 5%, you in your head you're like, they're gonna fail anyway. What's the point? I want my money now. You see what I mean? It's such a messed up situation because like designers now, we just design like we've been pimped out in the art world.
Oh, definitely.
Like we're literally
yeah.
pimped out. We like photographers can do that and be like, look, I love my art. I only take pictures of what I care about. Musicians can do the same thing.
Even for photographers, like
I mean, the good photographers,
even some of that's the thing. Like even for them, like I guess it's a thing that maybe it's not discussed, but we see photographers that like they photograph the greats and the celebs and the campaigns, but the harsh reality sometimes is that your bread and butter are in things that you may not agree with or you may not love or you dare not want tagged like to your socials and stuff.
So you feel like they would never do it, like, because I feel like most photographers, especially the ones we know about, would choose like they have a choice.
They have a choice. But
How many
like, I've
designers
seen-
have even like agents, for example?
Yeah, no,
Like,
true,
photographers
true,
are more
true.
ethical than designers, man.
You think so? Because I'm not gonna
I feel
lie.
like-
Maybe I'm
No,
judging this
bro.
from like certain
I legit have
conversations
that
I've
conversation with
seen.
photographers, and
but-
they legit don't go with certain people because
Yeah,
of what they represent.
Some people, but again, like maybe it's because they're on a certain level that they can afford to do so. That's not every photographer. So that's why I'm like, I feel like there's levels to this, because of course some designers have agents, but they have agents because they're making bank and they can afford to pay their agents. Like that fee, that percentage, chicken change. It's not chicken change to them, but it's not that much in comparison to what it is that they're making. And obviously, these people are working to get them those big jobs. But not everybody. Like, think of it this way: if every single designer had an agent, like would there be enough jobs to go around in a sense? So it's like the harsh reality is that we're gonna have to do some jobs that, by God's grace, we won't have to, but there are gonna be some jobs that are gonna be there for people to do that not everyone's gonna enjoy.
Of course, yeah.
But obviously, the aim is for us to work in a place that's sustainable. We work on the projects that we love and all sorts. But not that I think it's unrealistic, but it's just how frequently do we come across these kind of things? Because the reason why I was like, even photographers, is because I remember, shout out to Twitter, seeing interactions with some people, and some photographers like, we don't talk about these projects they were like, we don't talk about the projects that pay the bills, but we know that those projects fund the personal fun projects and allow us to build a body of work that we want to create in order to get the like high paying jobs, but then they may not come so frequently and stuff. So it is a weird
To be fair, I feel like it's part of the hustle of life. Because think about it this way,
that's not fair. We can't just do this. The puzzle of life.
I'm gonna give you an example that would make sense. So I was once a person that I worked in finance before I actually got into the creative industry, but finance funded a lot of my creative outlets. Do you know what I'm saying?
I get that.
I did things I didn't want to do, but I had to do it. You know what I'm trying to say? So what Michael's saying is true. Like when you get to a certain level, then you can afford to be like, alright, cool, man's not doing this project. Fam, when you're like a designer starting out, just for someone to even say like, I want to pay you for this, even blows your mind. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like, I feel like the higher the level you go, then you can, the more ethical you can become. I feel like it's very hard to be like, when you first start, I'm only gonna work with this person, I'm gonna work with that person. And if you do that, kudos to you. But I don't think it's easy.
I feel like it's because in my head anyway, maybe I'm just being very hopeful, which is a surprise for me, to be fair.
No, it's a good thing though. It's a really
but
good thing.
I don't know. I just feel like as designers and photographers and web developers, whatever that your creative field is, I always compare it to the artists, like fine artists, and like obviously fine artists create work without bias in terms of they don't really most times care who buys the art. So you could be, God forbid, a murderer and still buy the art. You know what I'm saying? And they have no control over where the art goes, which is a gift and a curse. Because one, that means you're buying it without a bias. That means they can technically be the target audience is for anybody.
Right.
But also the bad thing is that it can go and be represented in any way. But with design, I feel like we don't have that. Like the aim of designers most times is to make a very clear idea make an idea very clear and very obvious what it means, or like give meaning to something. So what happens is that because we're very direct most of the time, it's very hard to misinterpret our work. Do you get what I'm saying?
I feel like it depends, because I'm talking about myself anyway. I know like there's certain things that I have bought because of the designers that have made the thing. So, or maybe it becomes a product, I guess, that they're selling because it's like their body of work. So maybe that's when it almost spills into the art kind of side of things and not just standard design. I feel like that's probably what we need to do to kind of play around with stuff. Like I bought like a book by Paula Scher, which is like called 25 Years of the Public. And even though it's a book about her design for the public theatre. And it's got so many examples of her work. And that for me, like, I think the book's incredible. But like, that's almost like a smart way of doing it, because you're showing, it's obviously a book with a journey, but it's pieces of the work inside. So yeah, I think really realistically, I think we just need to get more into the product space. If that, I think that like photographers, they sell their prints and all that kind of stuff. As designers, we probably need to do the same, or find a way to repackage it. Even if we think of like Virgil Abloh, and like think of what he did. He's got books as well.
Pushed it into furniture, pushed it
yes,
like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of probably need to do the same kind of thing, because at the end of the day, some design serves a purpose. So like we can actually be designing things. I guess we could probably explore more with what design means in like different spaces and turn it into products, or multiple different things.
Thanks guys for tuning in to today's episode of Rule of Thirds. Feel free to share your thoughts with us using the hashtag Rule of Thirds Pod. And for more from us, follow us on Instagram at Rule of Thirds Pod, or our personal accounts for myself, Burns JNR,
Mike at _ man like Mike,
and Jude at Kente Kwame.
Catch you guys in the next one.